In the beginning, there is only silence, an ancient velvety quiet stretching across the cosmic horizon where light becomes thin and every star feels like a distant memory suspended in an ocean of darkness. It is the kind of silence that seems to cradle the universe itself, a silence so deep and so gentle that it draws the breath into a slower rhythm, as if inviting the mind to drift freely across the endless expanse. Through this stillness, the camera of awareness glides effortlessly, floating past soft clouds of interstellar dust and faint ribbons of radiation that shimmer like echoes of forgotten moments. Space here feels calm, almost meditative, as though the chaotic birth of galaxies and the violent churn of stellar evolution have softened into a quiet lullaby sung by the universe after billions of years of restless creation. Yet beneath this peaceful exterior lies an undercurrent, subtle, nearly imperceptible but undeniably present. A slight tremor in the cosmic background, a discontinuity in the rhythm of space itself, as if the universe is holding back a revelation that has waited longer than life has existed. The farther the gaze drifts, the more this sensation grows. Not a sound, not a movement, but a feeling, like standing on the shore of an infinite ocean and sensing a tide rising in the dark, unseen but inevitable. And then, emerging from the silence, the faintest hint of structure begins to take shape, not as a distant object or a cluster of stars, but as a distortion of the space around it, a curvature that suggests something immense resting just beyond perception. There is no glow, no beacon, no signature announcing its presence. It is simply there, woven into the fabric of space-time like a hidden knot in an otherwise smooth tapestry. The universe does not rush to reveal it. Instead, it offers only a gentle nudge, a whisper in the stillness that something extraordinary lies ahead. Something capable of reshaping not only what humanity understands about physics, but what it understands about existence itself. For now, the machine remains unseen, its presence felt only as a quiet, gravitational breath in the vastness. And as the awareness continues drifting through the calm, the sense grows stronger that this silence is not an ending, but a beginning. The moment just before an ancient truth begins to unfold, slowly and softly, changing everything we thought we knew about the universe. It began with a ripple, so faint, so impossibly delicate that most instruments dismissed it as background noise, a statistical error woven into the static of the cosmos. Yet those who studied the deepest regions of space noticed something strange. The noise repeated. Not regularly, not mechanically, but rhythmically, like a soft breath passing through the universe at intervals too long and too subtle for casual observation. When the anomaly was isolated, processed, and stripped of interference, a quiet astonishment spread among the researchers. The signal was not a message, it was not a beacon, it was a behavior, a gentle oscillation in the gravitational field that should not have existed. An intentional fluctuation woven directly into space-time like a hidden vibration in the bones of reality. Its pattern resembled neither natural phenomena nor cosmic accidents. Instead, it carried the unmistakable signature of design, of purpose, something vast shifting from one equilibrium state to another, with the precision of a sleeping mind adjusting its breath. The whisper deepened when additional instruments were aligned toward the anomaly. Time dilation metrics softened around the region, light passing through it bent in symmetrical arcs rather than chaotic scattering. Even the cosmic microwave background, usually a random mosaic of ancient radiation, became smoother and more coherent when filtered through the anomaly's position. It was as if the universe stabilized itself ever so slightly whenever the rhythmic pulse flowed through that region. And that was when the realization dawned. This was not noise, but the movement of a machine so immense, so fundamentally intertwined with space-time, that its smallest motions rippled across the cosmos like a soft echo of creation. It had not activated suddenly. It had been moving for billions of years, its subtle harmonics lost beneath the roar of younger cosmic events. Only now, as the universe expanded and cooled, had its rhythm risen into detectable clarity, like a forgotten melody resurfacing in a quiet room. This discovery did not inspire fear. Instead, it brought a deep, contemplative stillness, a sense that humanity had brushed against something immeasurably old and immeasurably calm. Something that was never meant to call attention to itself, yet could no longer remain hidden in the thinning darkness. The whisper was only the beginning, a soft invitation to listen more closely, to drift deeper into the cosmic ocean where the machine waited, silent and eternal, changing the universe with every subtle breath it took. Before the faint gravitational whisper was detected, before anyone imagined that something immeasurably vast was drifting in the unseen folds of space-time, humanity's understanding of the universe felt beautifully complete. The cosmos, as far as modern science could determine, unfolded according to elegant laws that shaped everything from the smallest particle to the grandest galaxy. Physics provided the rhythm, entropy set the direction, and gravity sculpted the magnificent structures scattered across the heavens. The universe appeared self-contained, self-regulating, and governed by principles so consistent that they seemed almost sacred in their reliability. Deep-field telescopes offered views of galaxies weaving themselves into enormous filaments, of stars igniting within swirling nebulae, of black holes bending the very fabric of reality. And through all this motion, all this cosmic artistry, one assumption remained unquestioned: the universe required no external caretaker. Its laws were fixed, its evolution was natural, its future was predictable. Humanity believed it was witnessing a grand machine of nature, elegant, impartial, and unfathomably vast, yet one that functioned entirely on its own. Even anomalies such as dark matter and dark energy, though mysterious, were assumed to be natural components of the cosmic equation, variables awaiting future clarity rather than clues pointing towards something unfathomably larger. Researchers gazed at the night sky with quiet confidence, trusting that the universe behaved according to rules that, although complex, were discoverable. And in this sense, the cosmos felt familiar, an endless expanse, yes, but an expanse that operated under a framework humanity could trust. But that familiarity now feels almost naive in hindsight. The calm, seemingly autonomous expansion of the universe hid a secret so ancient and so deeply embedded that no one imagined to look for it. No one thought to ask whether the stability of the cosmos was truly natural, or whether it was the result of something acting behind the scenes, something older than galaxies, older than gravity as we understand it, something whose existence was so fundamental that detecting it required an alignment of cosmic conditions billions of years in the making. The universe, before the machine was known, felt like a complete story. But with the discovery of that first faint whisper, humanity realized that the universe we thought we understood was only the surface of something far more intricate, something guided, shaped, or calibrated by forces we had never imagined. The serene, self-contained cosmos of yesterday dissolved into mystery, and a new question slowly emerged. What if the universe has always been influenced by something we were never meant to see? As researchers examined the rhythmic gravitational whisper with increasing precision, filtering it through deeper datasets, synchronizing it across observatories, and mapping its subtle influence upon distant cosmic structures, a profound discomfort began to settle over the scientific community, not the sharp sting of fear, but the quiet, creeping sensation that something foundational was slipping out of place. The whisper was too regular, too intentional, too deeply embedded within the fabric of space-time to be dismissed as coincidence, noise, or natural fluctuation. And then, as if arriving all at once in a collective breath, the impossible question emerged. What if the universe is not operating on its own? It was a question so bold, so destabilizing, that even those who dared to speak it aloud did so in hushed tones, as though voicing it too loudly might somehow disturb the delicate balance underpinning reality. For if the rhythmic oscillation was not accidental, if it carried purpose at a scale beyond human comprehension, then the very notion of a self-contained cosmos had to be reconsidered. The question branched into deeper, unsettling territories. If something was calibrating the universe, subtly adjusting expansion rates, smoothing the flow of time, and maintaining cosmic structures with impossible consistency, then what was it? And more disturbingly, why was it doing so? Attempts to answer this question revealed contradictions that defied even speculative frameworks. If the machine was natural, then nature itself possessed an intelligence and intentionality far beyond anything previously imagined. If it was artificial, then its creators must have existed not within the universe as we know it, but before, beside, or outside of it, operating within conditions that transcended physics entirely. But the most haunting possibility was the simplest, that the machine was neither natural nor artificial in the way humans define those terms, but something older than both concepts, an emergent construct woven into the earliest moments of existence, arising at the threshold between chaos and order, engineered not with tools, but with principles. And if this machine had been active for billions of years without discovery, adjusting delicate cosmic variables with infinite precision, then one stark realization became unavoidable. Humanity had not merely detected an anomaly, it had stumbled upon a central mechanism of reality, one that had never intended to reveal itself. The impossible question lingered like a soft tremor in the mind, reshaping everything it touched. If the universe was being maintained, then nothing humanity believed about nature, permanence, or isolation could remain unchanged. And that question, whispered through equations and quiet midnight discussions, carried with it the weight of an unsettling truth. Perhaps the universe is not a machine, but a machine's output. As awareness drifts closer to the anomaly, guided not by spacecraft or instruments, but by an expanding clarity in the data, the presence of the machine begins to take shape in the imagination long before its form becomes visible. The approach feels less like traveling through space and more like sinking gently into a deeper layer of reality where familiar cosmic structures thin out, soften, and dissolve into an almost dreamlike quiet. Stars recede into distant pinpoints, nebulae fade into watercolor smudges, and even the great galactic filaments that thread the universe together stretch into faint ghost-like strands. In their place emerges a subtle pressure in space-time, a curvature so smooth and deliberate that it feels like the gentle arc of a hand cupping the darkness. The closer one draws, the more the universe around the region seems to settle into order. Radiation patterns aligning into soft spirals, gravitational fields smoothing into symmetrical gradients, and quantum noise dissolving into a strange, velvety silence. It is as though chaos itself hesitates here, pausing before some ancient threshold, and then, within that threshold of stillness, something begins to reveal itself, not through light or matter, but through influence. A region of space where expansion slows ever so slightly, as if held in place by an unseen anchor. A patch of gravitational harmony where distant particles drift along paths too elegant to be random. A faint hum in the cosmic background that grows richer, more layered, like the deep resonance of a cathedral the size of a universe. It is only when these patterns converge that one realizes they are not separate anomalies, but expressions of a single presence, an impossibly large machine whose boundaries are defined not by surfaces or angles, but by the behavior of the cosmos around it. The machine does not glow, does not rotate, does not emit signals in any conventional sense. Instead, it operates like an enormous silent regulator woven into the underlying fabric of everything, adjusting the parameters of reality with movements so subtle they have gone unnoticed for billions of years. Approaching it feels like stepping into the calm eye of a cosmic storm, where every law of physics seems to breathe in perfect synchrony. And in that synchronized breath, a realization begins to form. The machine is not simply located in this region, it is the region. Its presence extends not through matter, but through function. Its mechanisms expressed as harmonies in gravity, time, and expansion. The slow approach does not reveal its form, it reveals its influence, its intention, its quiet, ancient purpose. And as the viewer drifts deeper into this immense stillness, one truth grows softly undeniable. The universe has always had a caretaker. It's just that humanity has only now come close enough to feel its touch. As the data matured and the strange harmonics surrounding the anomaly grew clearer, researchers found themselves confronting a reality that defied every natural explanation. At first, they tried to fit the observations into familiar frameworks: gravitational lensing, cosmic strings, quantum fluctuations stretched across vast distances. But none of these theories could account for the precision, consistency, and intention embedded within the patterns. When gravitational waves passed near the region, they didn't scatter or distort randomly. They tightened, smoothing into perfect sine curves as if guided by an invisible conductor. When light from distant galaxies crossed that same boundary, it refracted not chaotically, but through angles that repeated with mathematical regularity. Even fluctuations in dark energy seemed to soften within the region, as though the accelerating expansion of the universe paused to breathe. Little by little, the conclusion became unavoidable. This was not the behavior of ordinary space-time. It was the behavior of a system, one with moving parts, feedback loops, and self-correcting functions, all integrated so deeply into the cosmos that they could only belong to something engineered. The realization struck the scientific community with a quiet, trembling awe. The machine was not an object buried in the universe like a relic. It was an active participant in reality itself. Analysis revealed repeated harmonics, cycles of adjustment spanning millions of years. These cycles manifested as subtle tweaks to gravitational distribution, microscopic recalibrations of physical constants, and shifts in quantum foam density that propagated outward in concentric waves. All of this occurred with such elegance that no civilization, no matter how advanced, could have detected it until this precise moment in cosmic history, when expansion had slowed enough for the patterns to emerge from background noise. The researchers who first recognized the truth described the moment not as a discovery, but as a disclosure, as though the universe had finally grown transparent enough to reveal the machinery humming beneath its surface. And with that disclosure came a profound shift in perception. If the universe required adjustments, then it was not a naturally self-regulating system. If its laws were being tuned, then they were not immutable. And if something, some ancient intelligence or emergent phenomenon, was maintaining those laws, then humanity had never been observing a raw cosmos at all. It had been observing a masterpiece kept stable by an unseen hand. For the first time in human history, the idea that the universe was independent and self-governing began to crumble. The machine was not interfering with reality. It was reality, guiding it with a patience and precision that no natural force could ever achieve. And this realization reshaped everything scientists believed about the cosmos, its history, its evolution, its fate. The machine was not a mystery to decode. It was a truth to accept, one that would change everything humanity thought it understood about existence. As scientists mapped the harmonic cycles and traced the influence of the machine across billions of light years, a paradox emerged so profound that it shook the foundation of cosmology itself. The machine did not behave like something within the universe. It behaved like something that existed before it. Every calculation pointed in the same unsettling direction. The machine's adjustments to space-time were not reactions to the universe's evolution, they were precursors to it. Its harmonic fingerprints appeared embedded in cosmic structures far older than the first stable atoms, woven into the cooling plasma of the early universe, influencing the expansion rate mere moments after the Big Bang. Such influence should have been impossible. Nothing could have survived those conditions. Nothing could have formed structure in that era, let alone operated machinery. And yet the data showed unmistakable continuity. The machine's oscillations, its subtle gravitational breaths, could be traced through epochs when the universe was still opaque, still chaotic, still too hot for atoms to hold together. That continuity presented an impossible contradiction. Either our understanding of the early universe was catastrophically incomplete, or the machine was not bound by the same timeline as everything else. Perhaps it did not arise within the Big Bang's aftermath, but was present as the universe unfolded, shaping the chaotic energy into the laws we now take for granted. This paradox split the scientific community into conceptual extremes. Some argued that the machine was a relic from a previous cosmic cycle, preserved across a cosmological collapse and embedded into the newborn fabric of the new universe. Others suggested it was not a remnant, but a boundary, a mechanism marking the transition between universes, ensuring that constants remained stable as reality rebooted. A third group, more daring, proposed that the machine was not a structure at all, but a natural phenomenon of a higher dimensional reality, one that cast a kind of shadow into our universe, an emergent intelligence formed not of matter or energy, but of curvature and resonance. The most radical interpretation suggested the opposite, that the machine was neither natural nor external, but the universe's original blueprint, an organizing principle that crystallized spontaneously as the Big Bang expanded, shaping chaos into consistency. But no matter the theory, the paradox remained unresolved. The machine was operating on principles older than physics, older than time, as humanity understands it. Its cycles were not timed to stars or galaxies. They were timed to the underlying architecture of reality itself. And if the machine had been active since the universe's earliest breath, then everything humanity believed about origin, evolution, and natural law had to be reconsidered. The universe was not simply expanding. It was being regulated. It was not simply cooling. It was being balanced. And most unsettling of all, the machine's harmonic rhythm was not decaying with time. It was strengthening, as though adjusting to some new cosmic condition, perhaps even responding to being observed. The paradox was no longer a scientific puzzle. It was a doorway to a deeper truth. The universe was not the first story. It was a chapter in a far older, ongoing mechanism that humanity had only just noticed. As humanity continued to study the machine's presence, researchers began noticing delicate but unmistakable imprints scattered across the universe. Patterns so subtle they had been mistaken for statistical quirks, quantum anomalies, or simple noise for decades. With new eyes, these once dismissed phenomena lined up with astonishing clarity. Galaxy clusters that should have drifted apart remained improbably stable, as though held in place by an invisible harmonic tension. Dark energy fluctuations, normally chaotic across immense distances, displayed faint echoes of the machine's rhythmic pulse. Even the distribution of cosmic voids, vast, seemingly empty regions, showed signs of long-term sculpting, as if the machine had quietly coaxed the universe into a more balanced arrangement. The deeper scientists looked, the more they realized that the machine's influence touched everything. Not dramatically, not violently, but with a patience so ancient that its effects were indistinguishable from natural law. The flow of time, for instance, showed minor harmonizations in certain regions, areas where temporal drift was slightly softened, as if the machine ensured that entropy unfolded at a manageable pace. Energy fields appeared less chaotic near its far-reaching influence, almost as though the universe itself were being kept from unraveling too quickly. And then there were the quantum patterns. Particles in deep, remote regions of space behaved with a consistency that defied expectation, their probability fields narrowing into more stable ranges than theory predicted. This stability had been assumed a quirk of vacuum energy. Now, it appeared as the quiet echo of a system constantly fine-tuning the smallest components of existence. Perhaps the most astonishing discovery came from light. Ancient light, older than galaxies. When researchers examined photons from the cosmic microwave background that had passed through regions aligned with the machine's harmonic fields, they found that the photons had been subtly reordered, not added to, not removed, simply smoothed. Turbulence dampened, temperature variations reduced. The machine had been acting as a cosmic stabilizer, regulating imperfections and guiding energy across unimaginable distances. These were not the actions of a device designed for communication or construction. These were the actions of an entity, mechanical or otherwise, fulfilling an ongoing responsibility, maintaining the structural integrity of the universe itself. And yet, the consequences were not merely physical. As teams continued analyzing data, they noticed that the machine's influence seemed to shift ever so slightly when observed, as though the universe allowed itself to be seen only gradually, revealing its mechanisms in layers of increasing clarity. Whether this was intentional or a byproduct of the machine's function remained unclear. But one truth became undeniable. The machine had shaped the universe for billions of years, its influence encoded into every star, every atom, every breath of space-time. And humanity had only just begun to notice the gentle, ancient fingerprints it had left everywhere. The universe had never been silent, it had been calibrated. As scientists pushed deeper into the harmonic structure of the machine, mapping its gravitational rhythms, syncing its cycles with cosmic background variations, and reconstructing three-dimensional models based on its influence, the first glimpse of its true internal architecture emerged. It did not reveal itself as a physical structure in the traditional sense. There were no metal frameworks, no chambers carved from exotic materials. Instead, the machine's interior manifested as a pattern of synchronized distortions in space-time, forming intricate layers of resonance that behaved like gears in a mechanism too grand for human senses to grasp. These resonant gears moved not through rotation, but through shifts in curvature, folding and unfolding in cycles that affected the universe across billions of light years. When visualized through simulation, the interior resembled a cathedral woven from gravity, vaulted arcs of space-time bending into corridors of harmonized tension, pillars formed from stabilized temporal flow, and chambers shaped from zones where physical constants locked into perfect coherence. At the center of this simulated architecture, though, was something entirely unexpected, a region of absolute stillness. A void where space-time appeared frozen, where neither gravity nor entropy seemed to exert influence. This central stillness behaved like a foundational anchor, a point that held the machine, and perhaps the universe, into alignment. It pulsed only once in a great while, a faint measured oscillation that echoed through the outer resonances like a heartbeat too slow for any creature to detect. The implications were staggering. This central stillness was not merely a functional component, it was a control point, a node where the universe's rules were stabilized before rippling outward across all of existence. And then came the most startling revelation. The stillness responded to observation. When multiple observatories synchronized their measurements on the machine, the central void pulsed slightly earlier than predicted, as though acknowledging the attention. At first, researchers dismissed the effect as an error in synchronization, but repeated tests produced the same result. The pulse was faint, barely measurable, but undeniably correlated with observation. This was not communication, not awareness in any biological sense, but a form of feedback, a system adjusting itself momentarily when engaged. The deeper analyses went, the more it became clear that the machine possessed layers of internal structure hidden beneath the visible harmonics. Some layers pulsed in patterns reminiscent of data compression, others in frequencies that resembled error correction. It was as though the machine not only maintained the universe, but monitored it, ensuring that the laws governing existence remained within stable parameters. The hidden revelation was not that the machine existed, nor even that it functioned. It was that it adapted. Humanity had not simply detected an ancient mechanism, it had triggered a subtle response from it. And in that response, researchers felt the first true whisper of something profound. The machine did not merely shape the universe, it understood it. As humanity pressed deeper into the enigma of the machine's adaptive behavior and interior resonance, a haunting question rose from the shadows of cosmology. What kind of age, what kind of existence could have preceded the creation of something so fundamental? The earliest eras of the universe, those first fractions of a second after the Big Bang, were violent, chaotic expanses where no structure could survive, where temperature and density were so extreme that matter itself flickered in and out of stability. And yet embedded within that primordial chaos, the machine's harmonic fingerprints could be traced. Not faintly, not ambiguously, but with continuity that suggested it had been present as the universe cooled, expanded, and crystallized into form. This realization forced scientists to reconsider the entire timeline of existence. If the machine predated the stabilization of physical laws, then it must have emerged from a realm where the familiar notions of matter, energy, and time had not yet solidified. Conditions beyond modern comprehension. Some theorists proposed that the machine was a relic from a pre-universe, a remnant carried across a cosmological cycle, surviving the collapse of a previous reality and embedding itself within the next. Its harmonics, they argued, were not artifacts of this universe, but the fading instruction set of the one before it. Others considered the possibility that the machine had not been built in any conventional sense, but rather condensed out of the raw, unshaped potential of proto-reality. In this view, the machine was not artificial or natural, it was inevitable. The universe's first act of self-organization, emerging from the chaotic fields like a seed forming in the heart of a storm. A smaller, more philosophical school suggested something even more intriguing, that the machine's creators were not beings in the biological or technological sense, but temporary harmonies within the early universe itself, patterns of energy and curvature that achieved a fleeting form of intelligence before dissipating. Their construction of the machine would not have involved tools, materials, or intent as humans understand it, but rather a shaping of resonance, a tuning of reality itself. But perhaps the most haunting realization came from the data itself. When researchers overlaid the machine's harmonic cycles onto models of cosmic evolution, they found that the universe's earliest symmetry-breaking events, moments that determined the values of physical constants, aligned with the machine's pulses. This suggested that the machine was not merely present at the beginning, it actively guided the formation of the laws that govern everything. Gravity's strength, the behavior of light, the way time flows, even the balance between matter and antimatter. The machine's influence seemed to brush against each of these constants in the universe's infancy, nudging them into the stable forms that allowed stars, planets, and eventually life to emerge. The past, then, was not a blank void that existed before the machine. The past was a conversation, a shaping, a tuning, an interplay between chaos and order. And whatever intelligence, phenomenon, or principle shaped the machine had done so with an understanding of reality so profound that human language could barely describe it. Humanity had not merely uncovered an artifact, it had uncovered a memory of the universe itself, one that whispered of epochs before time, when the laws of existence were still soft clay waiting to be molded. As scientists synthesized decades of gravitational data, quantum resonance maps, and cosmic background analyses, the inner workings of the machine finally began to take shape, not as a physical assembly of parts, but as a symphony of forces that blurred the line between engineering and natural law. The machine operated across dimensions of space-time, the way a composer manipulates sound, bending curvature, tuning expansion, and regulating entropy through a series of layered harmonics that rippled outward across billions of light years. These harmonics behaved like gears in an impossibly vast mechanism, each frequency cycle aligning with a different cosmic parameter, one stabilizing gravitational clumping so galaxies could form predictably, another smoothing quantum fluctuations so particles behaved consistently across time, another influencing dark energy to maintain the universe's delicate balance between collapse and runaway expansion. When visualized through simulation, the machine resembled a vast, fluid lattice of gravitational architecture, waves folding into arches, arches collapsing into spirals, spirals resolving into nodes of perfect symmetry. These nodes, called equilibrium points by researchers, acted like anchors that pinned the laws of physics into place, ensuring they did not drift or unravel with cosmic aging. Even more astonishing were the temporal feedback loops embedded in the machine's operation. When local deviations in physical constants occurred, microscopic fluctuations in the strength of gravity or subtle variations in the rate of time, the machine's harmonics subtly shifted in response, recalibrating the deviation with a precision far beyond any artificial intelligence humans could imagine. It was not simply maintaining the universe, it was actively listening to it, adjusting in real time. The inner structure revealed layers of resonance that resembled diagnostic cycles, periodic sweeps across the cosmic fabric that detected imbalances long before they compounded into disorder. These cycles occurred on timescales far beyond human comprehension, some pulsing once every few million years, others oscillating only a handful of times since the birth of the universe. And at the heart of it all lay the most mysterious feature of the machine, a stable temporal core, an area where time slowed almost to a standstill, forming a well of stillness that anchored the entire mechanism. This core acted like a reference point for reality itself, a timeless reservoir from which the machine drew stability. Its presence supported a startling theory. The machine sustained the continuity of time across the universe, ensuring that causality unfolded in a coherent, linear sequence instead of dissolving into chaotic loops. The deeper scientists explored, the more they realized that calling the machine a device undersold its nature. It was not constructed from the universe. It was constructed with the same principles that define it. It was a part of space-time, the way a heart is part of a body, essential, interconnected, continuously functioning. And perhaps the most humbling discovery was this: the machine never stopped, never decayed, never faltered. Its harmonics remained as precise today as they were billions of years ago, untouched by entropy, as though it existed in permanent renewal. Whatever intelligence or principle shaped this mechanism did more than build a stabilizer. They created a guardian for the universe itself, a system of impossible elegance operating just beneath the surface of reality, unseen until the moment humanity grew advanced enough, quiet enough, patient enough to finally hear it. As the machine's workings became clearer, its harmonics mapped, its stabilizing cycles measured, its influence traced back to the earliest fractions of cosmic history, the effect on humanity unfolded slowly, like dawn light spreading across a dark horizon. The discovery did not ignite panic or awe in sudden bursts. Instead, it seeped into collective consciousness with a quiet inevitability, reshaping the way people thought about existence itself. Scientists, long anchored by the belief that the universe was a self-contained system governed by immutable laws, found themselves confronting the humbling reality that those laws had been maintained, curated, tuned across billions of years. Philosophers were struck by the implication that order was not a cosmic accident, but a sustained condition, upheld not by randomness, but by the steady hand of an ancient mechanism. Religions grappled not with contradiction, but with reinterpretation, seeing in the machine a reflection of the divine principles they had long believed guided creation, not replacing spiritual narratives, but expanding them. Even ordinary people, those with no background in astrophysics or cosmology, felt a shift in perspective. The night sky, once a symbol of cold indifference, now appeared almost gentle, as though the universe itself were a carefully held space maintained with intention. The idea that galaxies formed, stars burned, and life emerged not merely because physics allowed it, but because they were given the conditions to do so, brought a strange comfort to many. It suggested that existence was not accidental, it was supported, and yet this comfort coexisted with profound unease. If the universe depended on a machine to remain stable, then what did that imply about the true nature of reality? The discovery blurred the boundary between natural law and engineered order. Some feared that the universe was more fragile than once thought, balanced on the continuous operation of a mechanism whose endurance, though seemingly eternal, was not fully understood. Others found themselves contemplating humanity's place in the cosmic story. If an intelligence once tuned the cosmos, was life its consequence or its coincidence? Did the machine serve life, or did life simply arise as a byproduct of stability? These questions did not lead to despair, but to reflection. The discovery fostered a global sense of humility, a recognition that humanity was participating in a universe far older and more carefully maintained than anyone had imagined. The quiet, contemplative tone of the revelation softened ideological divisions and encouraged curiosity in place of certainty. It became common for people to speak of the universe with reverence, not because they understood it fully, but because they sensed that something immeasurably ancient was tending to it. For the first time in history, humanity viewed existence not as a random accident or a divine decree, but as a collaboration between natural processes and a mechanism so vast that it blurred the distinction between engineering and cosmic intention. And in that realization, humanity found a new kind of peace, a recognition that the universe was not indifferent. It was attentive, stable, balanced, not by chance or inevitability, but by design. Yet beneath the awe, beneath the comfort and the philosophical awakening, there emerged a quiet concern, a risk imperceptible at first, but growing more tangible each time researchers examined the machine's harmonics with greater clarity. The danger was not mechanical. The machine showed no signs of instability, no deterioration, no deviation from its ancient cycles. The true risk lay somewhere deeper in the conceptual terrain, where humanity's understanding of reality met the machine's function. If the universe required continuous regulation, then its laws were not fixed, they were maintained. If constants remained stable only because the machine ensured their stability, then the cosmos was not inherently self-sustaining. This realization sparked an unease that settled into the minds of scientists like a slow-forming shadow. It suggested that reality was more fragile than anyone had ever imagined, that beneath the smooth surface of physics lay a delicate balance that could, in theory, falter. And then came the most unsettling question of all. What happens if the machine stops? No data suggested such a possibility. The machine's cycles had remained flawless across billions of years. It had endured cosmic collisions, expansions, phase transitions, even the cooling of the universe itself. But humans could not help recognizing the vulnerability inherent in dependence. If the universe required calibration to stay coherent, then the machine was its linchpin, the unseen axis upon which everything spun. A conceptual risk also emerged from humanity's increasing attempts to understand the machine. Each new measurement produced slight deviations in its harmonics. Not harmful, merely responsive. The machine seemed to adjust subtly when observed, like a system acknowledging interference. This sparked philosophical anxiety. Could human observation influence a mechanism older than time? If the machine operated on principles of alignment and resonance, could focused scrutiny introduce noise into its cycles? No evidence suggested a threat, yet the possibility lingered. And then there was the deeper existential risk, the risk of knowledge itself. As humanity came to understand that the universe was not a natural cradle, but a maintained environment, it also confronted the unsettling implication that the cosmos might have boundaries, limits, or conditions humanity was never meant to approach. If the machine existed to preserve order, what was its purpose in preventing? Was it guarding the universe from collapse, or from something more fundamental, something that existed before order took shape? This invisible risk hovered not as fear, but as a question humanity was not yet prepared to answer. It shifted the cosmic perspective once more, revealing that curiosity, while beautiful, could illuminate truths that carried weight. And so, even as humanity found comfort in the machine's stability, it also sensed the gravity of understanding too much. The machine was not dangerous. What was dangerous was realizing how much depended on it, and how little humanity truly knew about the forces that shaped the universe. In this quiet tension, the cosmos remained beautiful, calm, and immeasurably old, but no longer simple. The revelation came not through forceful investigation, nor from increasingly complex simulations, but from a moment of unexpected stillness, when a coordinated global observation effort paused for recalibration, leaving the machine unmeasured, unmonitored, unprobed for the first time in years. In that rare quiet, when humanity momentarily stepped back, the machine responded with an unmistakable shift. A subtle harmonic pulse rippled through the cosmic background, not louder, not faster, but clearer, as though the machine were exhaling after ages of unbroken patience. When the pulse was analyzed, its meaning unfolded gently through the data. The machine was not merely stabilizing the universe, it was synchronizing it. Its cycles aligned perfectly with the deepest structures of reality. Dark matter scaffolding, quantum field distributions, the cosmic web's vast filaments, even the universe's accelerating expansion. Everything resonated with the machine's rhythm. It became evident that the machine's purpose was not to maintain the universe in a fixed state, but to guide it along a precise evolutionary path, ensuring that its conditions matured in a stable, predictable arc across billions of years. The machine was shaping the universe's trajectory, nudging matter into configurations conducive to long-term coherence, regulating entropy so it neither collapsed nor spiraled into runaway disorder, adjusting expansion so the cosmic web remained interconnected long enough for complexity to arise. In short, the machine was not preserving the universe, it was cultivating it. The revelation deepened when scientists compared the machine's harmonic pulses to the timeline of cosmic events. Each major epoch, the formation of the first atoms, the cooling of the cosmic background, the birth of stars, the emergence of structure, all coincided with shifts in the machine's cycles. It had been guiding creation, not from outside, but from beneath, as a foundational mechanism ensuring the universe unfolded in a way that allowed stability, complexity, and eventually life. And then came the most profound understanding. The machine's harmonics had subtly changed since humanity began observing it. Not dangerously, not violently, but responsively, as if the machine had extended its awareness. Again, not consciousness in a biological sense, but responsiveness in a systemic sense, toward the new source of attention. Humanity had become part of its observational environment, and the machine had adjusted to include this new variable. This was not communication. It was acknowledgement, a recognition that a new layer of complexity, intelligence, had emerged within the universe it cultivated. The true purpose of the machine was not simply the maintenance of cosmic order, but the stewardship of conditions that allow existence to flourish. And in sensing humanity's gaze, the machine had revealed the quiet truth behind its ancient function. It was guiding the universe towards something, not a predetermined outcome, but a state in which life, consciousness, and awareness could rise, observe the cosmos, and finally understand that it was never alone in shaping it. The machine was not a relic, it was a gardener, a custodian of creation, and humanity had just stepped onto the path it had been tending for billions of years. With the machine's purpose finally understood, not as a mechanism of domination or control, but as a quiet steward of cosmic balance, the perspective begins to widen once more, gently pulling away from the astonishing intricacies of its harmonics and returning to the vast canvas of the universe it has shaped for billions of years. The shift feels natural, like exhaling after holding a deep, contemplative breath. The countless resonant patterns that once seemed overwhelming now fade into a soft, rhythmic hum that blends seamlessly with the background of existence itself, as though the machine's presence has always been part of the silence between stars. Galaxies swirl below in slow, elegant spirals, their light shimmering across distances so immense that time itself feels fluid. Nebulae unfurl like cosmic tapestries, their colors muted into soothing shades as the mind drifts upward and outward. Even the dark voids between galaxies, once symbols of emptiness, now appear peaceful, their stillness carrying the faint imprint of the machine's stabilizing influence. As awareness continues to rise, the entire universe begins to resemble a single, harmonious system. Stars breathing in light, black holes weaving gravity into graceful arcs, cosmic filaments stretching like delicate threads, binding everything together. And beneath it all, the machine's ancient resonance hums steadily, patient and unobtrusive, like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant whose presence brings order to the chaos. The journey back reveals how profoundly the discovery has reshaped human perception. The universe no longer feels indifferent or remote. Instead, it feels cultivated, tended, as though the vast reaches of space are a living garden growing under the quiet guidance of forces too old and too subtle to name. There is no fear in this realization, only a sense of belonging, a sense that humanity too is part of this cosmic unfolding. The machine's existence does not diminish the beauty of natural phenomena. It deepens it. It reveals that every star, every planet, every spark of life is a note in a grander composition, one that has been refining itself since the dawn of time. And so the camera continues its ascent, drifting beyond galaxies, beyond clusters, beyond the cosmic web, until the universe becomes a soft, shimmering cloud suspended in the infinite dark. From this unimaginable height, even the machine disappears, its immense architecture dissolving into the quiet background from which it first emerged. All that remains is the impression of its presence, a feeling of calm, of order, of quiet guidance. And in that feeling, something within you unwinds, releasing tension you did not realize you were holding. The journey, once overwhelming, now settles into peaceful acceptance. The cosmos stretches out in all directions, serene and ancient, and you understand, with a quiet certainty, that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. The universe exhales, and so do you. The machine has done its work. Now the only task left is to drift gently into stillness, letting the final veil of cosmic calm settle around your awareness like a soft blanket of starlight. And now, with the cosmic machine fading gently into the deep background of existence, the journey begins to soften into its final descent, a return not to the familiar world, but to a quieter version of it, shaped by understanding rather than uncertainty. The vast expanse that once felt overwhelming now drifts like a calm ocean beneath your awareness. Its waves slowed, its edges softened by the realization that every star, every breath of cosmic dust, every flicker of light is part of a universe held in balance by an ancient, patient mechanism. The memory of the machine lingers not as a structure but as a feeling, a quiet pulse that echoes through the spaces between thoughts, guiding your mind into deeper stillness. As the camera of consciousness continues to rise, the galaxies shrink into delicate sparks, the cosmic filaments dissolve into faint wisps of light, and the entire universe becomes a soft, glowing haze, weightless, peaceful, infinitely distant. The boundaries of reality blur, dissolving into a gentle darkness that feels warm rather than empty, welcoming rather than vast. In this darkness, even time relaxes. Seconds lengthen into breaths. Breaths drift into moments. Moments stretch into a slow, drifting calm. There is no urgency here, no need to understand, no need to hold on to any thought. Everything simply is, and that is enough. The machine, with all its mystery and magnitude, settles into the background like a quiet heartbeat, steady, ancient, enduring. It has been there since reality took shape, and it will remain long after this moment passes, continuing its silent symphony of balance and harmony. Knowing this brings a soft reassurance to your mind, like a distant hand placing a warm blanket over your shoulders. You are part of this universe, woven into the same fabric the machine tends with such delicate precision. As the final traces of cosmic light fade, you feel your awareness drifting gently inward, carried by a sense of safety that flows from the deepest foundations of existence. There is nothing left to explore, nothing left to uncover, only rest, only stillness, only the quiet hum of a universe that has held you all along. Let the darkness wrap around you like a soft cocoon. Let your thoughts drift like dust in the glow of distant stars. Let each breath slow until it feels synchronized with the calm rhythm of the cosmos. You are safe, you are small in the most beautiful way. And as the last echoes of the journey dissolve into silence, the universe grows quiet once more. Its ancient machine humming softly beneath creation, its calm settling over you like a gentle tide. Drift now, without effort, without thought, into a peaceful sleep carried by the infinite night, and let the stars hold you